Here we are, Stories with Kishen, ordinary people with extraordinary lives. And today is Groundhog Day. So while we're waiting for people, I'm waiting for people to jump on, I am going to do this. All righty. What do you do on Groundhog's Day? Today is Groundhog's Day. I'm going to bring my mic a little bit closer. I can hear myself. Yeah. So I am excited for today's topic. People don't always share the challenges that they face in life. Some of the challenges and heartaches, heartbreaks, disappointments, those spaces, those traumatic events that really take a toll on our lives as adults, in our homes, in the workplace, with family, with friends, with our health, our weight, with our personal development. There are so many things that keep us in situations where we are stuck. And that's been my theme for the past couple years of getting unstuck. And that's actually why I started doing this, because of some of the challenges that I faced. And just to name a few, and I've shared this, it's no secret, as I have started on this journey. It's been a healing process. It's healing for me. It's healing for my children. It's healing for my soul, and I love it. So some of the things that I have experienced include, and I mentioned this, and I've, again, shared this before, job loss through whatever reason, for whatever reason, divorce, homelessness, just a lot of different things. Depression. And people don't always share that. I don't know if people know what depression is. And I didn't know what it was. And I didn't even know I was experiencing it until my mom said, "I think you're depressed." I'm like, "No, I'm not." But there's so many things that happen in our lives that keep us in situations that keep us from moving forward. But I'm here today to let you know that this is Groundhog's Day, but this does not have to be your Groundhog year, your Groundhog decade. Now, if you saw the movie, you've seen the movie Groundhog Day, you know Bill Murray just kept repeating the same thing over and over and over. And that's what happens in our lives. We get in situations and it's like, why do I continue to go through this? Why am I in this same type of relationship? Why do I keep attracting these same type of people, these men or women? Why am I still in the same type of position in my job? Why? Everybody wants to know why. Well, I'm here to tell you why. Because you have not let go of the hurt, the pain. You have not even let go of the blame. And sometimes we can blame people for doing things or for things happening to us when we really have the power within ourselves to overcome those. So, how do you get out of Groundhog's Day? Now, I've been looking all day to see if Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow. I don't know if he did or not. But if he did, then we know that that means an extended winter. So we continue to go through Groundhog's Day, and it seems like I'm stuck in this winter. I'm stuck in this time, and it's never ending. But it does end. I was in my Groundhog Day, I want to say for 15 years. I was doing the same thing over and over for 15 years. Not knowing how to get out, I was spinning my wheels, trying to figure out how to get unstuck. As you're in a car and it's winter and you only have front wheel drive or rear wheel drive and you're spinning your tires and you can't get unstuck. So you get some salt, you get a shovel, you get something that can garner traction on your tires, and you get unstuck. So we have tires, we have snow. These are things that are in our lives that contribute to us being stuck, but they also can help us to move out of it. So as I was thinking about what to talk about today and what to share, I wanted to keep it real. I wanted to talk about some of the challenges that I faced and how I was able to get beyond those challenges. And the first one was the self-doubt, the insecurities, and those were a part of me being in my own Groundhog Day that just was never ending. And remember in the movie, Bill Murray woke up every morning at the same time. He did the same routine, and it was just so mundane. When I made up my mind that I was tired of doing the same thing, I was tired of getting the same results, and I needed to improve myself, that's when things changed for me. And it started, honestly, for me with focusing in on my purpose. Why am I here? I know I'm not the only one who said, God, why? Why me? Why do I have to go through this? Why does this keep happening? And sometimes instead of asking God, why, we should ask him, okay, I'm here. Now what? What am I supposed to learn from being in this situation? What am I supposed to do differently? Because sometimes, again, instead of placing blame on others, we need to examine ourselves and say, I am no longer going to do whatever it is. But I did a lot of praying, a lot of fasting, a lot of soul seeking, a lot of just building up my spirit. There's lots of books that I bought. There are lots of people that I would listen to online because I needed to refuel my soul. I needed to build my soul up. And when you get spiritually fed, that all manifests in the natural, in the physical. So when I was in this Groundhog Day, this Groundhog moment, again, I mentioned I was in a lot of self-pity. I was in depression. I was depressed. I felt hopeless. I didn't really feel suicidal, but there were times where I was like, if I'm not here anymore, then I don't have to feel this pain. I don't have to go through this pain, the pain of a divorce. And I'll talk about the divorce a little bit because some people, they get multiple divorces, but I believed and believe in marriage. I believe that no matter what, there was nothing too hard that either God couldn't intervene and be a part of, or just trusting him in that process. But when it was evident that the divorce was going to happen, in the midst of my pain and agony, because it was agonizing. It was agonizing watching the person who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with my kids and someone else. I can't describe how devastated I was in watching this transpire. And you know, they say divorce is worse than death. I will 100% unequivocally agree with that, because it is. With death, you know, it's final. When my dad passed away in October, I knew that his soul was resting. I knew that he didn't have to suffer anymore. I knew that, you know, the cancers that he had, the different issues, health issues that he experienced, I knew that he wouldn't feel that anymore, and it would be okay. But when you go through a divorce, that's a whole nother level. It's a whole set of just emotions that go along with it. Not only was it painful to watch, but just to, in my mind, it was like my family was being destroyed. It was being ripped apart. I didn't want my children to have to live in two different homes, but they did. And so from a mother's standpoint, from my standpoint, that was just the most hurtful thing, because I said, now, what impact will this have on my children? But I got unstuck. I decided that I needed to focus on Kishen, and I couldn't worry about anybody else. And as long as I poured into my spirit and built my spirit up, then I could be better for my children. And so that's what I did. So I let go of that groundhog emotion. And again, I'm using the analogy of Groundhog Day because that's what today is. But Groundhog Day in the movie with Bill Murray, everything was repetitive. It was no change, no difference. So I'm going to use that throughout. So I got rid of the self-pity. I got rid of feeling enabled. Is that the right word? I just got rid of all the stuff, and I started to get my own power and gain my own strength. And again, I started with my own spirit. So the next thing, in addition to getting beyond the divorce, there were times where I was in a position, and the first position that I lost was during a downsizing. And we knew it was going to happen, but working in human resources, usually you're the last ones to go because you're the ones who have to tell people that they lost your job. And so I remember going through these downsizing, having to share with these people that they're going to lose their jobs. This one guy in particular, I don't know his name, but I remember his situation because it was so etched in my brain how hurt and how if you can just imagine an open wound and you cover it up with tape, the adhesive side on that wound, and rip it off multiple times, that had to be what this man was going through. So he came in, and of course you bring the boxes, which is so inhumane. But anyways, you bring the boxes, the people come in, you have a list, you have a script, and you go from there. So I shared with this guy that he will be losing his job. And so I explained, you know, you'll have to clean your area out. This is your box to take your belongings, and explain his severance package, what he would receive. In addition to that he would get some other resources to help transition and find another job. So I'm sharing this with this guy, and I've never seen a grown man cry. And it was so unbelievably gut-wrenching with this man crying. And he was not just tear crying, he was sobbing, he was weeping uncontrollably. He said he was the breadwinner. His wife was going to kill him. She was pregnant with their either fourth or fifth child, and he did not know how he was going to go home and face his wife. And I thought, wow, I cannot imagine having that weight on me and having to go home and share this with somebody who was not going to understand. So when it was my turn to be told that, and ironically enough, I'm sharing this with this guy, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm pregnant with my fourth child now. And when they told me that, Kishen, you've lost your job. This is your severance package. Your last day will be here. This is when you can collect unemployment. And these are the resources that you can use. And I'm like, what? This is happening to me. And this is right before everything started to break away with, my relationship with my ex-husband. And I took it a little bit differently though, because I was glad. I'm like, yes, I can stay home and, be a mom to my children, because my son was the last one. So I was pregnant with the final child. And I thought this will be great. And they let me go, not realizing at that moment that there would be vehicle repossessions, home going into foreclosure, and then this divorce that was impending. After I got over this first job loss, there was another job loss. This one was a little bit more challenging because I was excited. I had just started a job and somebody reached out to me and said, hey, Kishen, we got this opportunity for you. I want you to come and try it or come and work. I was like, okay, cool. So I do that, get there. And within 2 years, the guy who brought me in, who I had gained an allegiance with, he ended up leaving. And so I felt like my covering was gone. I'm like, okay. And I admit I did some things that I probably shouldn't have done, because I surely did go and tell him what I was finding out that was going on within the organization, within our department, our HR department, in terms of what people were saying about him. So I was thinking I was looking out for him and sharing with him what I was told or what I had heard that people said about him, thinking that, okay, I'm telling you this to make sure that you're watching your back while I'm watching your back. But when he left, he didn't watch my back. So all of the enemies that I had created while I was at this place, those enemies were like, oh, we got you now. And so as the months went on, when I was employed at this place, there was a young lady who worked there, and she was a supervisor. Her director wanted to fire her. And I'm like, why would you fire her? Well, she doesn't know what she's doing. I said, well, as the director, really is your responsibility to make sure that she has the tools and resources to be successful. Why did I say that? It was like, oh, for real? Now, this is just my interpretation. He didn't really say for real, but it was him and the two highest ranking officials in the organization. And I told them, I said, you're setting her up for failure if you do not provide her with the support so that she can be successful. It wasn't long after, because he wanted to give her some videos, tell her to watch the videos, and then to be okay with her newfound, I guess, tools and resources, which were ineffective. Regardless, she did not pass the probationary period, and they ended up terminating her, not realizing they were setting me up so they can sort of kind of do the same thing. But how they termed it was that there were positions that would be eliminated. And so I would say less than a year after that, my position was eliminated. And I remember when I went back to work that time, my son was like, Mom, do you have to go back to work? I'm like, yeah, baby. Got to eat, want to eat, got to work. And you know that scripture, right? A man who doesn't work, don't eat. And so anyways, but I took that information and I said, I'm going to better myself. At that point, I said, I don't want to work in human resources anymore, because I see what happens on the other side, on the hiring side, on the determining who's going to get a pay raise and who's going to get promoted. I saw all of that. I don't want to say good old boys club, but it was sort of kind of like that, because people were aligning themselves, or they were aligning people to them to succeed them. So there was a succession planning that I never was a part of. And so anyways, lost my job there. And I'm like, okay, now keep in mind, each time that I had these job losses, I needed to supplement my income. Unemployment didn't always cut it. I had mouths to feed. Remember, I had 4 kids and I was now divorced. So I had to get on public assistance. I remember God speaking to me before all this happened and told me to do something that to this day I didn't do. And something reminded me the other day of when he spoke to me. And it was like, if you would have done this, then you would be in a better place. So if God speaks to you and tell you to do something, do it. Otherwise, you have missed a blessing. Trust me when I tell you this. And so I missed out on some blessings. I don't know how many blessings, but I believe God is starting to turn some things around, because in the midst of sharing my story with people, whenever I would tell people about the story, my divorce and home foreclosure and vehicles, I say vehicles were repossessed. There were 2 or 3 vehicles in that time frame that were repossessed. And everybody has their side of the story. So I'm just only going to share my side of the story. But again, the purpose of talking today is so that we don't continue to have these Groundhog days. Groundhog days, like the movie Groundhog with Bill Murray, repeating the same thing over and over and over. We're not going to have any more Groundhog days, because you are the CEO of you. My name is Kishen, and I am the CEO of me, and you are the CEO of you. Your relationship, your job, your personal development, everything about you, you own, and you should own. So, right, Tasha, I'm trying to look and see what you guys are saying as well. So when God speaks, yeah, we must listen and we must trust him. Again, because when you don't, what happens? You miss out on the blessing. And so one of the other things that I did, so this was a job loss number 3. So when I get to the third one, I said, I don't want to be in human resources anymore. And again, now I'm seeing this pattern. I'm like, well, I keep losing these jobs. What's going on? Is it me? And so at that point, I said, I need to step back and examine myself. And that's what I did. So again, I'm not working in human resources anymore. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I don't have to work in human resources anymore, because I still have other transferable skills. I like to connect with people. So I'm a communicator. I like to be before people and teach people and engage people and present to people. So I started working with this nonprofit organization. And I was a community and membership manager, where I had to go out and establish relationships with schools and colleges and universities and other businesses, with the hopes that they would partner and we'd be able to continue with the programming. So in the midst of doing these presentations, we had a new CEO come in. And again, let this be food for thought. So this is one of those Kishen's food for thought. Be careful who you align yourself with, because when you align yourself with certain people, it could be detrimental in the long run. So just be mindful of that and prayerful about that. So I worked at this organization. I had established some relationships outside of the organization. But when it was time, when the new CEO came in, she started making some changes. And within, I don't know, a few months, my director was like, I'm bouncing. I'm getting up out of here. I got to go. And I didn't know what she saw, but whatever it was, I should have just followed suit, because shortly thereafter, other people started leaving the organization. And then she did a whole complete reorganization and got rid of a whole department. So that's job loss number 3. I actually, at that point, was like, I don't want to work here anyways. You know how you always try to justify, well, I didn't want to work there anyways. Yep, I had the attitude and everything. I'm like, she crazy, and bump all y'all. I'm just keeping it real. Keeping it real while trying to live holy. And so I started to do some volunteer work. Now, what I'm doing right now, I am actually absolutely 100% in my wheelhouse. Speaking, communicating, when I was little, I would pick up a cassette player, push record, and record myself on the radio. So this is synonymous. This is comparable. This is my radio, if you will, except you can see me. But when I transfer this to a podcast, then, you know, it'll be the audio part of it. And so with that, I did some volunteer work at our local PBS station. And that led to me actually getting a job there. When I was there, pretty excited, I got the chance to, I remember the first time I was asked to record a promo for an upcoming pledge drive that we were going to do. Or it wasn't a promo, it was actually the pledge drive. It was pre-recorded. I was like deer in the headlights. I'm like, I can't do it. I froze. But I knew at some point I had to overcome that because I wanted to get into media. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about Groundhog Day, not repeating the same thing over and over and staying stuck, but moving beyond that. So as I started to do more of those pre-records, and then I was able to get on live and talk to people and encourage them, hey, you need to call this number and contribute. You listen to this station. It is your responsibility to support this station with a financial gift of whatever. And the first time I went on, I challenged somebody to make a $1,000 contribution. And the guy that I was on with, he was like, Kishen, you can't do that. I said, why not? He said, nobody's going to give this time of day. Nobody just does that. People aren't even listening this time of day. I said, watch, somebody's going to give. So remember, speak those things that be not as though they are. So everything that I'm going to try and tie it to some type of scripture, because I believe the word of God is true all by itself. So I said, somebody's going to call. Within the hour, somebody called and made a donation of $1,000. And so he's checking the stats to see who's doing what. He said, Kishen, I can't believe it. Somebody just gave $1,000. I said, shut up. I said, hey, it can be done. When you have the confidence and know that you're called to do something, there is nothing that can keep you from accomplishing that and achieving that. So I was there for maybe 4.5 years, and my contract wasn't renewed the last time I was there, or on the 4th year. So again, you don't stay stuck in that Groundhog Day. So the situation was still happening, but again, I'm gaining skills and abilities that I'm taking with me each journey, each step along the way. And the organization that I was at right before I went to the PBS station, I was working on my master's and completed my master's. So again, I'm taking these tools and putting them in my tool belt and my toolbox, and just adding these tools with each job loss. So I started working at another organization. I said, yeah, this will be more money. But it was fundraising. Now, what I did on the radio, encouraging people to call, that was good. I enjoyed that. I didn't need to see them. And I did. You know, somebody enjoys what they do when they just show up and it's just, everything was just in order, in place, and you can feel the enthusiasm. Sometimes you do have to turn it on, though. Sometimes you have to force yourself into a mindset that you can accomplish things, because you may be just like Peter, walking on water, then the waves come, the distractions come, the disappointments come, the people in your ear telling you you can't do this and you can't do that. You do not have to receive none of that. And I tell my kids that if somebody ever says something to you and you know that doesn't really apply to you, you have a right to say, I don't receive that, and don't receive it. So as I transitioned to this new role, it was a senior management role, and I'm like, yes, this is great. The money is good. And then they started giving me goals, financial goals. I don't do well with financial goals, in terms of, well, you have to make this kind of money, or you have to get these many people to give this much money. When it comes to sales for something like that, especially if I don't know enough or believe. Let me be careful. I believe in the mission of the organization. I just didn't believe. I don't believe in. I'm not a salesperson. I'm just not a salesperson, because if I can't tell you about it and you are automatically drawn to it, I don't have time to just try to mention this and mention that and make sure that you understand this. I have got to move on because this is too exhausting to me. So I'm not a salesperson, but I'll definitely share something that I'm passionate about. What I'm passionate about, oh, you're going to feel it. You're going to see it. And so that was a short-lived stint. But I knew that I wanted to teach. So that's what I started doing. I started reaching out to Cornerstone, which is where I graduated and received my master's. And I said, hey, I want to be an adjunct instructor. What does the process look like? And I reached out to the current dean, who actually was my instructor for 2 classes that I took at Cornerstone. Oops. And so as I take, sorry about that, as I took my classes and got my master's, then I started working and gaining this experience in media on TV and on radio. I needed to reach out and gain more experience because I'm going to have my own talk show. That was that senior manager position. That was short-lived, maybe 2 months. And I'm like, that's just not what I want to do. So lo and behold, I don't know if that's number 5, 6, whatever one at this point, but I ended up working at another organization. I said, I want to get back into human resources. I really missed the human side of organizations. And when I did that, I was like, why am I here? What is this about? I'm not passionate about this. I really don't want to do this. What I want to do is talk to people. I want to encourage people. I want to help them to think beyond where they are, to move from being stuck. I want them to get out of their groundhog shadow, their groundhog day. I want them to get beyond repeating the same cycle over and over and over. So that's why I'm here. I am here today to tell you that nothing defines you, no one defines you, but who you allow and who you define yourself to be. I'm going to say that again. Let this get in your spirit, because remember, you are the CEO of you. My name is Kishen, and I am the CEO of me. You are the CEO of you. You dictate what kind of job you get. And sometimes people their groundhog shadow may be the city that they live in, or their groundhog day may be the city that they live in, and they don't want to relocate. But sometimes if you uproot and get to another pot of soil, it's different, it's fertile, and it grows. You don't have to stay in a relationship that is not mutually beneficial, because sometimes we can be the givers. We give, but we don't receive anything back. You know, they talk about the 5 love languages, but sometimes you don't get any love communication, whether it's physical touch, whether it's words of affirmation or gifts, or whatever the other 2 are, acts of service. If you don't get your love language, your love tank replenished and refilled, you're going to be depleted. You are going to be absolutely depleted with nothing else to give. And that's why I started this all off by talking about why I had to get myself spiritually refueled and spiritually fed. It is critical. It is beyond words that can describe how important to your thriving, to your livelihood, to have that foundation, to have that a platform where you can stand on the word of God and know that it's true all by itself, but you have to work the word. You have to speak the word. You have to act the word. You have to believe the word, because you can talk all day long, but if you don't believe what you're saying, you're lying to yourself. So we're talking about Groundhog Day. Today is Groundhog Day. Today is the day every February 2nd we look forward to see if we're going to have a longer winter or if it's going to shorten and we're going to have spring sooner. What you deposit into your life will determine whether or not you have a longer winter or a quicker spring. Spring is when things bud, and it just takes me back to that nostalgia when I was a little kid and I would be walking to school and it was that spring smell. You know, like when you can smell rain, it's like that. So you're going to either stay stuck in your winter, your Groundhog Day, and repeat it over and over, or you're going to make a decision to move, to fill yourself with positive people even. And I said this a few episodes back. Sometimes you have to suspend relationships with family members. I say suspend, not completely cut off, but sometimes you need to be in a space where you get the positive, where it's reinforcing what you're doing. Because sometimes you can tell somebody your dream, a family member who doesn't quite understand your vision, and they can shut it down. And you're wondering, what happened? Why? And you don't get that support. So I'm going to encourage you to surround yourself with like-minded people. If you have children, speak into your children's lives. Let them know that they were created for greatness. And not everybody has the same position in life. Not everybody is going to be able to do the same things. That's why the Bible talks about we're all many, but we're all in the body of Christ, one member. We're many members, but we are still connected to Christ. So as it relates to what you can do or what you should be doing, feed your soul, feed your spirit. Make sure that you are pouring into yourself. Make sure that you are pouring into others, because you reap what you sow. So if you're pouring positivity into other people, you know how you'll share something with somebody and you know who to share certain things with. Or if you're talking to somebody, hey, did you see that such and such accomplished this? And if they're the ones, or I don't know how they did that, or just downplaying it, remove yourself from that person in that type of way, because they don't get it. There's too many blessings out here for us to be jealous of anybody else's blessings. There are too many blessings out here for us not to celebrate every blessing that your sister or your brother experience. Celebrate with them, rejoice with them. Why not? Don't be a hater. And people talk about being haters and stuff like that. I wouldn't even call it haters. You know that Will Smith song, Parents Just Don't Understand? Well, sometimes people just don't understand. They don't understand your calling. They don't understand your purpose. And sometimes it's not really up to you to try and help them to understand that. If you walk in the things that God has called you to, let him do the rest. You pray for them, but let God orchestrate your steps and order your steps so that he gets the glory. So again, we're talking about Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is the day where people look for Punxsutawney Phil to see if we're going to have a longer winter or a shorter winter. The movie Groundhog Day was just the same thing over and over and over. So I have a prop. I was trying to figure out what I can use to represent a groundhog. So this is my groundhog. This is my groundhog. And if you have anything in your life that you're doing over and over and your results are not changing, you need to make a change. So I'm going to write some things down and I'm going to show you, and we're going to tell that groundhog to go. So the first thing is a bad relationship. This bad relationship is this groundhog, and it's got to go. The next thing is self-pity. Stop pitying yourself. You were created for greatness. God created you for a purpose. What you have to share with somebody, I can't share with them, or the next person can't share with them. We overcome him by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. So it is absolutely 100% unequivocally you are the person who needs to talk to that person. The next thing that is a groundhog that you need to get out of your life. Many of you are in a job that you can't stand, and guess what? You're not even supposed to be there. You need to get rid of the wrong job. If it doesn't satisfy you, if you don't come there and give it your all, but if you're only there for a paycheck, you're not supposed to be there. Because everything that we do, we should do it unto the glory of the Lord. But if you go there, I'm just getting paid, I really don't care about these people, I'm just going to let the phone ring, or, oh my gosh, let me close my office door because I don't want to deal with anybody right now while you online doing whatever. You are not doing what you're supposed to be doing in that job. If you're not coming in there every day satisfied, you're in the wrong job. Yes, you are. And you find something that you really enjoy. Okay, the next thing that you need to do, if you haven't already started doing that, and some people have made a decision that, you know what, in order for me to get out of this job that I don't like, I need to improve myself. You need to improve yourself. What classes do you need to take? What certifications do you need? Get rid of it. Get rid of that groundhog. Staying stuck in a position that you don't want to be in is your responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility. So I'm just going to stop with just those 4. I'm going to turn and see some of the comments that people have made and respond to some of those comments. Again, my name is Kishen. You are listening to Stories with Kishen on podcast, on YouTube, and Stories with Kishen. You can listen to the podcast on SoundCloud, as I mentioned. But also, if you missed any of the episodes, you can always go to YouTube, because I'm going to be taking them off Facebook. So I encourage you to go to YouTube. But this one, if you are being blessed by this one, share it. Invite somebody else to have them listen to it. The purpose of me sharing and talking is truly, truly, truly to inspire, to encourage, and to uplift, because people, a lot of times, they get beat up with words. But I'm not here to beat you up with words. I'm here to encourage you and coach you beyond where you are, especially if you're unhappy in what you're doing. So I'm going to turn to look to see what type of comments I've gotten, and just check it out. Check it out. Yes. Yes. Ooh. Thanks. You know what? I am so blessed to just see all of these comments. I thank you all for jumping on. I see you, T. I see you. And Malik, Sheree, Robin. Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you for jumping on. Yes, it is important to be around like-minded people. And even if you can't find like-minded people, sometimes be by yourself and feed your spirit. You don't always have to connect with people for the sake of connection unless it's mutually purposeful. So just know that you don't have to be connected with people just for the sake of being connected. It's okay to disconnect and recharge. Hey, Sheree, Shay. Environment is everything. No change equals the same. You're right. If you don't change your environment, no matter what that looks like, your environment again could be your work environment. It could be your home environment. Again, sometimes you need to suspend relationships with family members until you get yourself right. And then you're able to draw them in. So don't think you have to stay connected and to negativity and be around negativity just for this because they're family members. Bump that. Your life depends on it. You cannot afford to continue to let negativity pull you down because it can and it will. Right, T. Yes, we are created for greatness. Hey, Leonard, thanks for jumping on. And yes, Sheree, oops. It's my groundhog. Get rid of groundhog. Groundhog represents the repeating of something that's not beneficial or doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. And we know that's called insanity. So if there are no other comments or questions, I just want to thank you. I hope that what I said was an encouragement to you. I hope that you share this with somebody, maybe somebody who is in a situation where it seems hopeless, or you've noticed that their demeanor has changed somewhat. You absolutely can encourage them. I reached out to somebody today who I typically don't reach out to, and I reached out to her because I felt led to. I didn't want to offend her because people, sometimes they think I'm over the top. And yes, I get excited about stuff. Like I said, if I'm passionate about something, if you're passionate about something, it should show. I'm not going to suppress who I am just to make somebody else feel comfortable. That's not how it works. So if this has blessed you, if you know of somebody who may be going through a rough time, share this with them. Again, all of these Facebook Lives that I have, I am going to absolutely share on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is called Stories with Kishen. The podcast is Stories with Kishen. And this might be the last week that I'm rolling solo because there's some books that I have to finish reading and make sure that I reach out to the authors to see if they want to come and share their testimony and share their story and encourage somebody else. Because when I bring other people on who have their testimony and they've written a book and they have tools and resources that somebody else can benefit, rest assured they have somebody that they can minister to and encourage them to get out of that place of being stuck and get out of that place of hopelessness. So, and Robin Wilson, you'll be hearing more about her. I had the opportunity to hear a little bit of her testimony, and I was just so blessed. She has a cookbook, a vegan cookbook. I am absolutely going to reach out to her, and I don't know if she's still on. I guess that's an invitation. So we'll definitely be connecting. There are people who have already been on my podcast when I first launched it, like Malik and Eric James and his wife. And there's others that I am going to have share their stories with me. So again, today is Groundhog Day. Let this be your last Groundhog Day. Let this be the last time that you repeat something over and over and over without some type of benefit. If you're just going through the motions, you are not living. As long as you wake up every day, I'm a firm believer that God has a purpose for you, that you serve a purpose in somebody else's life. You may not even know who it is, but you have a purpose. So I'm going to encourage everybody. Let 2021, again, this is the year of the CEO. You are the CEO of you. My name is Kishen, and I am the CEO of me. So you are the CEO of your health. You are the CEO of your finances. You are the CEO of your diet. You are the CEO of your relationship. You are the CEO of anything that happens to you in your home and outside of your home. You are the CEO. You are the Chief Executive Officer. I am the CEO of me, and I am Christ focused. I'm an encourager, and I am optimistic. So again, I thank you for tuning in, for jumping on. Know that this is not the last time that I will be before you. Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Those are the designated days. They may change, and if it changes, I'll let you know. But otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. And until then, you can follow me on Facebook. You can follow Stories with Kishen on Facebook. You can follow Stories with Kishen on YouTube and the podcast Stories with Kishen on SoundCloud. Share, like, comment, and I'll see you next week, Tuesday. God bless. Bye-bye.